afternoon to you once again. Last time I was talking about economic integration or economic integrations in Africa, and that will be our last area of concern. And this unit for it is going to be looking at the economic transformation of these African states. What have they done in order to ensure development in Africa? When you look at economic integration, this specifically is an agreement among African countries or countries in a geographic region to reduce and automatically remove tariffs and non-tariff barriers to free flow goods and services and factors of production among each other. They are saying at any type of arrangements in these countries in form of coordination to the trade and fiscal policies or factors that may be arising. They are saying that the main project covering an African-wide integration arrangement was originally known as the Organization of African Union, that is OAU. This African Union or Organization of African Union was established in 1964, and its aim was to promote economic development and also to connect through economic operations among the economies of scales all the countries in Africa. When you go on, they are saying that the 6 regions of the African Union, with the return of Morocco, decided on that was 30th January 2015 or January 2015. That was all African states are now members of the African United Nations, and they are saying that the 55 members are the grouping into the geographical region, and they are saying north, south, west, east, and central of Africa, and they are saying the diaspora was constituted as the 60th region in 2003 in order to encourage participation of people of African origin living outside the continent to also have a meaningful in terms of where do they come from and what do they believe in. They are saying that West Africa is within with its 15 members of the economic community of West African states, that is ECOWAS. They are saying that the region within the largest number of countries, they are saying it's also the most populous region with an estimated population of around 350 million people that tend to be living within that area since 2015 up to date. Then they are saying that Nigeria accounts for more than half of the West African population and is estimated to become the world's third most countries around the famous country or populous countries around the world or around Africa by around 2050, following the Chinese and the Indians' development within Africa. So that is a preamble about the economic integration. But now we are going to be looking at the economic integration. What does it bring on table? They are saying that Kwame Nkrumah was a visionary leader, a charismatic leader who was focusing his modernism or with the Canada, and also campaigning for African political unity. In other words, what it tries to bring about in terms of the fact that we can bring on table, it can be that it creates unity amongst the African leaders and also African political unity, or it creates African political unity among the member states of Africa in order to be united under one umbrella within Africa. Then the other thing they are saying that it gives a neutral sound of economic rotation within Africa. So in other words, sounds like a voice of voiceless for very many countries in Africa whereby that when you have landlocked countries, for instance in Africa, they can easily also be able to achieve some development through a common domestic market that can be put in place in order to ensure that also these countries develop in terms of economic development, also to improve on their GDP, the gross domestic product in Africa. And then they are saying there is what we call that African leaders look up at building the United States of Africa. In others, it has led to formulation of organizations that tend to be fighting for their rights, or they lead to formulation of different bodies that can be fighting their interests. For instance, the African or the Organization of African Unity, and also African Organization. Then talk about the African Economic Community that was created in 1991, and also the African Union that was disbanded in 2002. So they also lead to that. And then talk about research that has been carried out by these countries in order to pursue power and remain low in terms of capacity building for those countries. Then they also talk about different studies in there, as in the economic integration. When you go on, we are going to be seeing the challenges that they come with, that some projects or many projects are covering Africa wide arrangement that he may have organizations which are established depending on the years that may be put in place. So we are going to be seeing at the economic integration and the illegal challenges as they come with. They are saying that they led the signing of treaties establishing the African Economic Community, which aimed at progressive settings for these African countries. In others, there are very many bodies that we are set in order to operate on the basis of the African Union Chapter, and also the African East Community Treaty, and also other treaties that we are saying to fight for the unity of this. We are saying the progress at RECE levels, or the illegal stamping block of the union. So when they sign these treaties, or when they form this organization, there are some illegal stamping blockade that will be put against them as the region, or as in a region, simply because that they are trying to achieve development. There are those barriers that will be put according to them, since they are trying also create what you can term as common market or custom unions, where these people can meet or negotiate challenges and also find market for their goods once they are produced. So those are some of the challenges that will be coming. Then the other thing we shall be looking at, they talk about the absence of regional enforcement mechanism, that these places lack what we call regional enforcement mechanism, which plays a significant role in functioning of the East community or the European courts. So they lack that body that can enforce regional mechanism or mechanism to run the region. All those bodies like the courts that they still are challenges. Then they also talk about the CJ, the European or the European Court of Justice. Is also a challenge for them. Absence of provision of parliamentary referendum or disputes among the regional enforcements, that some countries may be foregoing different, or maybe seeing some things on the other and are forgetting also. Then they talk about an agenda for legal reforms is also a challenge that is trying to face African countries in order to attain the development. For now, I would like to inform you that I summarized our chapter, where we shall be picking up next time from. But for now, I beg you stop here and have a good day.